and welcome back to my garage. I'm going to do another video today working on the performance upgrades to the little 350 Enfield. If you remember back to the video I did last week where we fitted the new high performance cam to the engine, today we're going to continue with another couple of modifications to the bike to complete what I'm going to do to improve the performance of this little bike. For this first stage anyway, today, we're going to fit the Decat pipe. Okay, to complete this job, we have to remove the heat shield, and that's held on with 3 bolts. There's one 10mm bolt here, one bolt here, and one bolt down here. And we can remove this, just a shield to hide the catalytic converter, and it's a heat shield as well so you don't get burnt, because the cat will get really, really hot when it's operating. The next job is to remove the silencer, and to do that there's a clamp bolt down here, and at the back of the footrest here there's the upper mounting for that. Again, it's a 12mm nut on the inside. So yeah, so that's all slackened off. Pull that clamp bolt out a wee bit, and then we can just slip the silencer off, and that's it gone. The next job is to remove the catalytic converter, and it's held on again with the same clamp bolt at the front here, and another mounting bolt at the back here. So we'll slacken off the clamp bolt, nice and slack, and we'll take this bolt off here. There's no nut in the back of this one. It's a fixed threaded bolt on the back of the catalytic converter bracket. So that's out as well. And the catalytic converter then can just also pull off. So what I want to do now is to fit the new Decat pipe. What comes with the kit is a new exhaust sealing piece, which goes into should go into the end of this. Yep, that's that in place. That gives a really good seal at the joint, and a new clamp bolt goes on the top to tighten that up. And again, it's still fixed with a new mounting at the back. We'll slide. Better remember to put the clamp bolt on and slide that on, taking care to watch that that insert doesn't slide up the pipe. You don't want that insert in there to slide, so as you're pushing it on where it goes away inside, you want it to remain flush with the edge of the pipe itself. So that's perfect. It's right in there in the exact location where it should be. So we want to refit this bolt in there. I think that's how it's meant to go. Yeah, the bracket on the catalytic converter, it goes further back, so it does tuck in at the back. This one is meant to go at the front. So again, put the wee washer and the nut on the back. That's nice and tight. The silencer, it comes with another exhaust sealing disc, but actually that one looks in really good condition, so I think I'll actually leave that just now. I could just keep that as a spare at the moment. So we basically slip the silencer back on to this pipe. That's really in quite tight. Put the bolt in and the nut on the back. So that's that one. The exhaust looks straight. That looks good. I've still to tighten up the 2 clamp bolts, but the line of the exhaust is really nice. So all I've got to do now is just make sure that tree insert is in the right place in there, it's not slipped at all, and then tighten this bolt up. So just put it to the front edge and that will clamp down on that internal sealing. Feels nice and tight. Tighten up. Perfect. Yeah, that feels really secure now. So to finish this job off, what we have to do is to put this wee guard back on again. So we can slide that back in place. It's got two mountings up here, but you don't really use the two of them. You just use the ones that line up, and it'll be in this case, it'll be the front one. And that's it on. And that is the Decat pipe fitted. What I like about it is it looks as if it's bog standard. Even if it goes for an MOT, I reckon nobody does the emission tests in this country for MOTs on bikes. Not at the present time anyway, but even if they did, it's easy enough to stick the cat back on. Or the last part of this performance upgrade is we're going to make a wee modification to the air filter box. This is what's at standard. It has a wee document pouch there, and that's easy. Just give it a wee pull and it clips off from the top. So that comes off really easily. And then we see the snorkel, the more restrictive air intake, and that's held on with 3 screws. And then that just pulls out once you've taken the 3 screws out. And what it does, it takes the air filter out with it. And what we're going to do is we're going to change it to the Hitchcocks, just the open air box cover, which will give a less restrictive air flow input. And since I'm also in the kind of process of servicing this bike as well, and part of the annual service, it basically says to replace the filter. So I've got a brand new filter which I'm going to put in as well. So it's a standard filter. This is not a DNA. And the air box, the free float air box. And again, that's refitted with 3 screws. And I'm not going to put the document tray in. I'm just going to leave it like that and close the door. So that's the air filter fitted. So that is basically all the modifications I'm going to do to the bike. And this is going by the Hitchcocks website and the information that they give on the dyno from the cam. The only 3 items that they fitted to this bike is the performance cam, the Decat pipe, and the basic Hitchcocks cover for the air filter with a hole in the centre, not the DNA one. And that's what the figures they've been receiving from their dynamometer, given quite almost over 20% increase in top end power. And that's the only 3 modifications they've made. Basically, any changes you make to the engine management system, the exhaust or the carburation or anything, the ECU should be reset. And there's various discussions on forums of how you should actually do it. All modern bikes should have learning ECUs, so they adapt themselves to any change in circumstances, and they should be able to set themselves up to the perfect scenario. I found an online workshop manual for this bike. If you want, just search for one yourself, you potentially find it. But this is the information I've got, and I'll put this page up in the video so you can see it yourself. But it says basically the idling adaptation procedure. Caution: idling adaptation should be done only if any changes in ECU, EMS sensors or in fuel type of the vehicle. Well, basically I've changed the cam, I've changed the air box, and I've changed this bit part of the silencer. So they could all affect how the engine management works. So what you've got to do is, step 1, check the engine oil temperature at start is less than 35 degrees C. Now that should be the case because it's definitely not 35 degrees C here today. And the bike has never been started, so the engine is stone cold. So that criteria is done. Step 2, start and allow the engine to idle and leave it undisturbed until the engine oil temperature reaches 115 degrees C. The time required for the engine oil temperature to reach 115 degrees C is 30 minutes approximately. Perhaps, so it's got to run at idle for 30 minutes. Step 3, once the engine oil temperature reaches 115 degrees C, turn off the engine and do not turn on for 30 seconds. So that's basically what we're going to do. I've set my timer. So I'm going to start the bike, the first start of the day. I'm not going to rev it at all. Just let it start the bike and let it idle. You do not touch the throttle. So you're not supposed to start it at all for 30 seconds. So it has been ticking over. It's never been revved at all for the full 30 minutes as described in that information. So the ECU should have learned what's happening to the motor now. The engine is definitely hot, but it's not overly hot, I don't think. It's definitely, the oil temperature is definitely up, that's for sure. So potentially now, this should be, the ECU should have learned what's happening in the engine, and it should be able to adapt to that. So hopefully the weather's meant to be quite nice this afternoon. So I'll take her out this afternoon and give her a good run, and we'll be able to kind of see what the outcome is of these 3 performance modifications. And I'm hopeful it's going to transform this bike. Well, we're out with the little Enfield. This is its first run. We're in top gear, going uphill, still accelerating. It's definitely pulling better than it did before. It doesn't sound much louder to me either. It's quite a pleasant sound coming from the exhaust. It's certainly not the quite obtrusive noise that you're getting from the free flow system. This is really nice, I like that. But the engine feels much more lively, much more willing to run. In top gear just now. We'll get around this corner and we'll slow her down a wee bit. We'll bring it down to 40. It's running 40 miles. That's in 3rd gear now. So we're going to accelerate from 30 to up and see it in 3rd gear and see what happens. That's full revs. And she's up to 60 miles an hour. And she's hitting off the rev limiter at that point. It's 60 miles an hour. She's now in 4th gear and she's up to 70 miles an hour. And she's in 70 miles an hour in 4th gear, not 5th gear. Wow, she's going far better. There's much more punch from that engine in the top of the rev range. And she sounds so sweet at low revs as well. Absolutely the same little docile little bike. Wow, this is one good improvement. That cam has made a massive difference to this bike. Drop down the gears again. We'll get a chance to get moving. The roads are drying up nicely. Haha, I was worried it was going to keep raining because I've got about a 40-mile run to go today. I'm going to visit some friends. It just wants to rev now. She's so willing to rev. That's the big difference in it. It just wants to go. I reckon you'd have trying to overtake any cars and things now. I think it'll be much easier. It won't have that lethargicness it had in the top end. Yeah, I'm liking this. I am liking this. This is good. It feels really lovely, the engine. So tractable. Tractable. But it's not this big loud noisy thing, which I didn't want. I love this bike being quite quiet. And I'd really, it's happening, a lot of gravelly bits here. I don't see a massive increase in the noise levels. It's up a wee bit, but it's still really nice. It's the willingness of the engine now. It's saying, go on, rev me, I like it. And I've never had it bouncing off the rev limiter before, going up the gears. Maybe I've never really pushed it that hard, but not often. It's not that I've not pushed it, it's just it's not really wanted to do it. It wants to do it now. It says take me to the maximum revs. Feel it, it just lifts. And we're climbing a hill. This is a brilliant improvement to these bikes. Up in it. Oh, it's just so good. You're in that gear and you just wind the revs on and you feel it going. It's pulling. It's now in top gear and it's still pulling up the hill quite nicely. We're in fifth gear. I am loving this. It's transformed this bike, genuinely transformed it. Oops, slow down, going too fast now. Oh, I never used to have to think about that in this bike before. But it hasn't lost any of the charm that it had at low speeds. You can still potter along and it's just so docile and charming and lovely. But if you want to rev it, she's got a bit of bite to it. She's got to get a bit of get up and go. Yeah, I would say the figures that Hitchcock have put on their dynamometer, I would say they're accurate. It feels exactly what that dyno chart shows. It shows that it's pretty much the same at low speeds, low rev. It just feels exactly the same. Give it up the rev band a bit and you start to feel, wow, it's different. You can feel the change. This was well worth doing. To me, this is the best modification you could do with the bike, that camshaft. This cam is fabulous. It does open the valve slightly. I'd put a vernier gauge on it, on the old cam, and I had that setting. Sorry, I'd measured the new cam, the lift in the cam, and then when I took the old cam out, when I put it in the gauge in the same setting, there was a wee bit more of a gap. It's not much, it's a tiny amount, but it definitely opens the valves a wee bit more than the standard cam. I don't know if the profile of the cam has changed, it's very difficult to measure that. So it may have changed the profile slightly where it maybe opens slightly earlier or whatever. But certainly the lift of the cam itself has increased, so it is a high lift cam. I don't know when they're going to fix that bridge. It just puts a smile on your face now when you actually open the throttle and you feel it kind of that week. Oops, I never had to slow down like this before. Oh, that was pulling slightly over
over 60 in third gear. It's transformed the bike, it's made it into a much more fun little bike to ride. It was always fun anyway, I've always loved riding this, but this now it's got that wee bit of extra punch to that engine. It's just brilliant. Never went like this before. I think this bike will surprise some people now. Why can you go that fast in it? It used to surprise people anyway, but now it's going to shock them. I've got a big bike and I can't keep up with you. Yes. Brilliant. So I think I'll sum up at this point. The modifications I've done to this bike is the high performance cam, the Decat pipe, and just a very plain and simple air intake piece for the airbox with a hole in the middle. This bike does not have a D&E filter, it does not have the Fuel X light. There's 3 items that are quoted on Hitchcocks dyno, and to me it's perfect. I would not do any more. This engine is brilliant. The one modification you probably could make is to put the slightly one-tooth larger gearbox sprocket on, which I've got one, I've had it on, but I tried it before. I've just felt the bike was over-geared, it struggled to pull the gears. I think it would pull it now, but to me you'd lose, well, what you'd gain is you would drop the revs a wee bit, it would make it a bit more easier to ride on motorways and dual carriageways. But I think you'd lose a wee bit of the punch that this wee bike has now. But I think, I was disappointed before with the 16-tooth gearbox sprocket. I felt the bike was just slow, and it struggled to rev, it struggled to get through the gears. It would never hit the rev limiter with ease like this does now. So, if you're considering doing this, trust me. And don't even just trust me, trust Hitchcocks dyno figures. This modification works. It is fabulous. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video, or the 2 performance videos that I've put up, this one and the one last week. I hope it's maybe convinced you to potentially do the job yourself or have it done for you. I can assure you, you will not be disappointed. So, for now, take care, ride safe, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to head off and have some fun. Bye for now.